Hey folks, this is John. Before we get into episode 42 of Movie Schmovie, I just wanted to make a quick technical note regarding the cricket that joined us during last week's episode, about halfway in, and then just started chirping away in the background, and we didn't notice it at the time, so we didn't do anything about it, and that was annoying. Well, frankly, the cricket is back this week, and while it's only around for the first few minutes of the show, still, if it's in any way distracting to you, or if it detracts from your enjoyment, we here at Movie Schmovie can only heartily apologize and assure you that going forward, we are on cricket watch. Now, as for the cricket's motivations, whether it was simply doing what comes naturally, or if it was actually in some way trying to join the discussion of cinema, we can never be certain, but you know what they say. Everyone's a cricket.
Keep those doggies rolling.
This podcast is rolling right now.
Oh, my butts are swollen. What movie was that? Is that the Three Amigos?
I don't think so.
that was a weird movie. Are we recording?
Well, I said rolling.
Oh, you were legitimately.
I'm just sitting back and enjoying this.
Hello. Welcome to episode 42 of Movie Schmovie. So, we are going to do something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. So, let's be honest.
How long? Wait, okay.
So at most 3 months.
Yeah, right. You were ready to start reviewing the summer at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even want to watch the movies.
Yeah.
So Steve and John, this summer's been kind of a weird sort of bust. Can we talk about that for a second?
I had high hopes.
I think well, we're referencing the summer films of 2012. We're going to have a big discussion about this, kind of going through some of our favorites of the summer, just kind of a round table, just loose discussion. But I think the thing that we all kind of came to realize in just kind of the preparation for this episode was that overall, we can all pretty much agree that this summer was a letdown of sorts.
It was, man.
Like you referenced, there were some that had high hopes for.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a lot of movies that I was really excited for. And well, I mean, admittedly, and this is my fault, that from word of mouth on certain movies, I didn't even like seek out some movies that I've heard that they were that bad or not that good, you know, which really discouraged me because obviously, you know, movies are expensive to see these days. And, you know, friends of friends, people that I really trust their opinions, you know, if they advise me to stay away, sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But I mean, I think the theme of this summer, the way it went along as I got deeper into it and I was kind of being let down by a lot of movies, that's where I found myself saying, well, if, you know, person A, person B says, just wait for DVD. I found myself saying, okay, I just will.
Yeah.
Because normally I wouldn't. But I mean, the way this summer went, I was like, sounds good. That's all I need to know.
Tragic. It's been really tragic.
I mean, we had a lot of movies come out that were, you know, the big studio tentpole releases. Some succeeded, some failed. Some not so much because of the quality of the film itself. And we can talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
A lot of indie films came out. A lot of movies that maybe you didn't really know a lot about that really surprised you, that were nowhere near your radar. And just like, you know, me personally, there's a couple films on my list that I didn't know anything about when April, May rolled around.
I'm looking at a list I made of the movies I didn't see this summer that I would like to have seen that may have popped up on my list of favorites, you know. And they include movies like Beast of the Southern Wild, Dark Horse, Queen of Versailles, The Raid, Redemption, Searching for Sugar Man, and Killer Joe. Those were all movies that I heard were good or that sounded like they might be something I would like, and a lot of those are playing at our local art house theater, the Charles Theater, right now. I just didn't make it out to see them. So I kind of feel like my list is a little bit lacking in, you know, serious or indie fare. There's a lot of popcorn on my list.
You know what those movies are, John?
What?
Those are movies for our Shoulda, Coulda, Woulda episode.
Yeah. Which is coming.
Right.
Yeah, very shortly.
Coming very shortly.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's like there's movies on my list that, like I kind of said before, like at the beginning of the summer, I was like, I need to see The Bourne Legacy. And I never saw it. You know, like I had really high expectations for it. I heard a lot of middle ground, the negative. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to drop $20-some. I'll wait. You know?
Well, I think that's it. That a lot of times these summer movies, the impression is like, you've got to see it to be part of
it's a must-see event.
To be part of the conversation, you've got to see one of these movies. You know, any of the big movies that have come out this year. And then a week or two goes by, and you start to realize. I mean, maybe I'm just repeating what you said, but you start to realize either, oh no, I don't need to see that movie, or you realize, oh, it's going to be on DVD in 6 weeks anyway. I'll just wait. Right. Or you kind of go, what? Oh, that came out? Oh, yeah, that. You know what I mean? Like,
you blinked and it was gone.
And I do think maybe, I don't know if it's just that every movie that comes out now, especially in the summer, that they try to make it into the biggest movie that ever existed. And it's almost like I find myself in the past I would sort of get a little more intoxicated by the hype, and now I'm almost too far in the other direction. I'm almost resistant to any kind of hype.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times that hype is kind of, it overshadows the actual quality of the film because that's how they're going to, get audiences in to see it. Like, we're going to put it in the middle of summer. We have all these huge actors. We have this crazy.
What were the big hype movies for you going into the summer? Like, what were the movies you were looking forward to the
see?
most?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like films like The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm.
The Avengers. I was really excited for Bourne Legacy, to be honest, because I'm a huge fan of the series overall. All films that I was really excited for. I did really want to see Prometheus, and it's a movie that.
Oh yeah.
Well, see, for me,
I kicked myself
the
in
big
nuts
three
for
this
not
summer.
seeing.
The big three were The Avengers in May, Prometheus in June, and then Dark Knight Rises in July.
Yeah,
And I remember
schedule.
I just remember looking and realizing that they were almost like a month apart each one.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. And Avengers was the only one. I mean, admittedly maybe it was the one that I expected the least from.
Yeah.
But Prometheus and Dark Knight Rises, to different degrees, just they didn't suck, but they were very flawed.
Complete opposite of that.
Wait, are we getting into it now, or where are you going with this?
Where are we going?
I want to watch you right now.
I'm gonna get into it.
You're gonna start right off.
Yeah, a movie that.
Is there?
We're gonna be talking about movies now that we actually liked.
Yeah, that.
Quite a bit.
You mentioned actually one of the movies that I considered, and I just saw it, and it's on my list already. Beasts of the Southern Wild. It was. I think that some movies have.
We should pay this off though. We should, we teased this last time.
So everyone's wondering probably at this point.
This is the five.
By the way, this is one of those great times we put the drum roll after he's already done the review.
Right. What movie shook me up? My African American heart.
Did it shake it up or did it touch it?
It touched it. It shook it up.
I think it touches it just by shaking it.
It touched it. It shook it up. It beat it up a little bit. Beasts of the Southern Wild is a movie about a little kid named Hush Puppy and her dad Wink. They live in a poor area in New Orleans, and it is basically a couple months before Katrina hits, basically. And the whole idea is they kind of live in this life that they're accustomed to. It's poor. They're eating anything that they can. Anything from dog food to animals that they find, and when this flood hits, it kind of destroys everything, and it's just Hush Puppy and her dad Wink, and it's probably one of the most touching movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I cried a lot. Like I don't watch too many movies that I cry a lot watching, and It felt like, is really weird. It felt like it had a little like fiction elements in it, kind of like Where the Wild Things Are, kind of like that, and some factual stuff and some nice social commentary, and it just layered really well. And this kid Hush Puppy, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her first name. It's like Quevanzani.
It's probably pretty close, actually.
Yeah, so she plays Hush Puppy, and she is the soul of this movie. She's forced to be, she's like 9-10 years old, and she's forced to be an adult. So she makes these really heavy observations about the universe and her life.
Well, it looked like one of those movies that has like, what do they call it? Magical realism. You have no idea what to expect. You just know it sounds good,
The fantasy elements.
That's exactly how I feel about this movie, just for the record. I haven't seen it.
The fantasy element's very light. It's basically like the catalyst for everything that's going on. So like there's like a physical representation of what this storm brings to this area. And it's very like clearly fictitious, but it pushes the story forward. Mm-hmm. And that's really where it stops. Everything else is like kind of within a factual realm. It's pretty reasonable. So
yeah, it looks incredible. I mean, the way John described it, exactly how I remember feeling seeing the trailer.
Beasts of the Southern Wild. See the movie. All right.
You laugh at the end of this series.
No, I'm
going to actually talk about one of the films I have. It actually came out right at the beginning of this summer, and it's a British film called Hysteria. I know we talked about it a little bit on one of our earlier podcasts. But it is a film that stars Hugh Dancy, Maggie Gyllenhaal, directed by Tanya Wexler, who's for the most parts a newer filmmaker. She's made some other short films, but in terms of features, it's one of her standouts, if not only one or two films in her history. But I saw this film. This is a movie I talked about earlier. Not a lot of expectations. Came across it by chance, like the cast. Felicity Jones is in the film, who I'm absolutely in love with. I know we loved her in Like Crazy with earlier this year. But this is basically the true story of the invention and creation, implementation of the first female vibrator. It is a British comedy through and through. Lots of heart, lots of light laughs, some great situational comedy by all the lead actors. Also, Rupert Everett is in the film as well, who is one of the standout performers in a supporting role, but reminds me why I like Rupert Everett so much. I haven't seen him around in a while.
I was going to say, it's kind of one of those...
He's like, where have you been? But he just jumps off of this film. I mean, he is hilarious in this movie. I've recommended the movie to all of my friends. Everyone that has seen it has enjoyed it through and through. And I'm sure that it will be coming to DVD shortly because it did come out. It's been around actually since like 2011 through like the festival circuits, but it got a small release earlier this summer, which would put it on my radar. And, we both saw it, really enjoyed it.
So good. Top to bottom. Very entertaining.
Yeah, any fan of, just British comedies, any of the parties involved in terms of the acting cast, all really, really solid.
Oh, yeah.
Just really funny movie. It's called Hysteria. I'd recommend checking it out either, through video on demand or I'm sure it'll eventually be on Netflix probably early this fall.
Cool. John?
Good going around again.
Yeah, man. Back to you.
I already spoke a little bit about Prometheus, which is a movie that I love the way you would love a brother who has committed murder.
Right.
You have to love him because they're your brother.
Yeah, there's blood.
Yeah.
Between you and also on the floor.
Another movie that I would kind of say ties for sort of fifth place in a sense, along with that, is a movie that I don't really think failed on its own merits, but I think was a case where it failed based on its marketing. But John Carter, which is a movie that came out back in May, financially it was a complete failure.
A bomb,
almost a shamefully huge bomb. But it was one of those movies that if anyone saw it, they saw that there was a much more fun movie there than the bland name John Carter would indicate, and they probably spent a little too much on it, But on top of that, they didn't know how to get people excited to go see what was essentially like a pure popcorn movie. And the fact that the subject matter was based on a book that was roughly 100 years old when the movie was made. It's really one of the first big sci-fi stories, one of the Edgar Rice Burroughs, who created Tarzan, also created John Carter, and he wrote a series of books. And the movie almost achieved like that kind of the way that Indiana Jones was throwback. I don't know. I thought it was a really entertaining movie. Maybe it was a little long, and it was hard to say what really was wrong with it.
How do you feel about Taylor Kitsch?
I feel like Taylor Kitsch is. I feel like he's getting a bad rap.
I mean, he also had Battleship out this summer, which was a bomb through and through.
But I mean, like that, and then Savages as well.
Yeah.
So it's almost
I kind of like Savages, though.
It's one of those things. It's bad luck for him that it just happens that he's had a couple of high-profile stinkers in terms of the financial aspect. When I don't know. I mean, like I thought John Carter was, despite the fact that it seems kind of corny by today's standards, and despite the fact that it was confusing and you couldn't really tell what it was from the ads. It is one of those that I remember thinking, okay, maybe this will at least have some life on video.
It looked like Aladdin with aliens.
That's not too far off.
It's not really way off.
Well, I mean, like
mix that with it does have like a really big Indiana Jones vibe. I mean, the fact that you could say John Carter's a bland title, Indiana Jones is.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you the dates too. I think it's the same kind of film. Like I watched that movie and I felt like Indiana Jones. What maybe could have been for this generation. Of maybe younger kids, teens, tweens, but I don't think it will find that audience.
I feel sort of bad for movies like that, though. That like the headline is major flop, and then maybe somewhere beneath that is not a bad movie,
right? And that's unfortunate. So I guess the movie I wanted to mention was an action movie that took me in a place where I felt like Bruce Lee. Jackie Chan, like before he came to America, which is very important to mention. And kind of Ong Bak sort of movie. The Raid Redemption, probably one of the rawest martial arts films I've seen in quite some time. The story of a building that's about 40 floors high, and a group of cops that have to bust this place, go up 40 floors and bust all these people, get to the kingpin at the top floor and arrest him. It's a simple idea, not very simple to get up 40 floors of thugs.
Mm-hmm.
It very simple idea. It's not too complex, and it is so good. It has a very good combination of shooting and martial arts, and that's all I gotta say. See it, so good. You'll piss your pants. I saw a man get shot midway through doing a karate kick. I mean, I've never seen that in my life, and the fact that I was like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. So,
importantly, though, are they going to remake this movie? I think they already are.
I bet they are.
I think somebody already has the rights to it.
The cool part is it's on. It's
kind of a weird
iTunes
name.
now.
Why is it called The Raid?
Right, like it's
Redemption.
Well, it was just The Raid when it got picked up off the festivals, and then they added Redemption.
The Raid, Redemption. You could apply that to almost any kind of gritty action movie ever. Just put, we'll call this one The Raid Redemption,
There was no.
I mean,
There was no redemption. Like, I mean, there was a redemption. It was weird. Like, it was weird. Like, the name has nothing to do with it.
Now you spoiled it for me. I know there's no redemption.
Damn it.
There's a raid.
Okay, we got half of it.
The raid of the building.
Does anyone redeem a coupon or something like that?
No.
In the background?
No, man. I'm trying to think. There was just murder. So check it out. Raid Redemption.
I'm going to throw out a completely other end of the spectrum in terms of action. I'm going to go with a American true crime dramedy called Bernie. Richard Linklater's film came out earlier this summer. Stars Jack Black. Matthew McConaughey's in it as well as Shirley MacLaine. I saw the film recently and was blown away by it. Honestly, it's probably
we'll double team this.
Okay, tag team
because I saw this one on demand just this last weekend, and it like for Linklater, I don't know, just a really confident piece of filmmaking. I thought.
Yeah, it's super entertaining though too. I mean, it's based on the true story of this late 30-year-old funeral director who basically befriends, becomes like almost like a confidant, personal assistant, questionably maybe more, I don't know.
Yeah.
With this older millionaire, like that lives in this town. Everybody hates her, but somehow he connects with her at first, and then it turns more into this almost like a servant role, and he starts to see through that, and bad feelings become, and he ends up killing this woman, and
which sounds like a spoiler, but it's the pretext of the whole movie. It's a true crime story, and I remember even seeing this on like an A&E true crime show.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing.
Ago.
Yeah,
so it's not a mystery. I mean, I suppose you could be surprised by it, but the movie definitely is leading you to the point where it happens.
And that lead, the way the film leads you through these off interviews, like almost like that, like kind of like those mockumentary, like where you're seeing this. Retelling of this story, but you have these interviews with the characters that were a part of it, played a role in it, and even just the bystanders of the community who knew Bernie, who knew the woman that Shirley MacLaine's character, and just the way that it's told and the foreshadowing when these characters are talking, and you see how much these characters love this guy.
Yeah, it's a murder mystery where the whole town loves the murderer.
Yeah.
And the whole town pretty much hates the victim.
Yeah.
And so it sets up this dynamic where even though you have basically a confessed killer, there are people that don't believe that this person that they love would ever do such an awful thing. And they're also, the other side of that is they sort of believe that, well, if he did do it, then she must have done something to deserve it because she was just awful.
It was justified.
And I would say the thing that stuck with me, and you might agree, is, what a talent Jack Black is.
His best... in my opinion, his best performance that I've ever seen. I mean, I was a really big Jack Black fan for a long time, like more towards the comedic side.
Yeah. It's so endearing in a way to see him play this guy that you kind of get sucked up into playing. You sort of love this guy too. And there's a part of you that's thinking, even though I know this guy's a killer, I want to see him get off. It almost felt like a Coen Brothers movie in some way.
Absolutely.
It had that kind of dark comedy of a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah, you would definitely like it, Ronald.
I gotta see it. There've been so many movies. I haven't been able to watch everything. I have it sitting on my computer. Just waiting.
I would definitely recommend watching it.
I'll probably watch it tomorrow.
The interesting thing that John said was like everybody had this notion of like what Bernie did for them, or I mean, he literally is referred to at some point in the film as like the most popular man in town, and it's like that guy that everybody likes. and that is
He's just an angel.
Yeah, and he's very well meaning in every respect. I mean, but in this situation, the way it goes, the way he feels, I guess, taken advantage of in ways, even though he's benefiting from her wealth and the way he lives his life now, and that's actually a part of Matthew McConaughey, the DA's, his case is like, he enjoyed these things while he was with this woman, and even after he killed her. It was 9 months until they found her body that he continued living off of her money and putting up this lie that she was still alive. Mm-hmm. And the fact that this is true, it makes this even more crazy.
But the way he was spending the money was like donating money to the church and doing stuff for people and all this stuff. So it's like even knowing that, it's like it's a very conflicted sort of morality tale.
Yeah.
But the narrative is so nice to watch, and I mean it's
a small movie too. I think that's another thing is that you feel it's like you don't feel like it doesn't ever feel like it's trying to make some grand statement,
Yeah, nothing else positive. I mean, it may be so. I don't even know. It's in my top probably 3 for the year. Even love the movie. Mm-hmm. Video on demand, DVD. I mean, definitely check that out for sure.
Okay, so my next one is Celeste and Jesse Forever. One of my favorite movies this year. It is directed by one Lee Toland Krieger. So basically, this story is about the character Rashida Jones plays Celeste, and Jesse played by Andy Samberg, and they're undergoing a divorce. However, they are still best friends and hang out almost every day. She lives in a house, and he lives like in the back portion, like art area basically that they had made. He kind of sleeps back there, and it's about their relationship. It is really strange because it's something I've never really seen touched on. It's such an odd thing where two people get along. They know that it can't work. Mm-hmm. They're trying to kind of find ways to leave it alone, but there's still something that is keeping them together in a way through their friendship. It's really awkward. It's really funny. The soundtrack is like it drives the movie. Rashida Jones and Andy Samberg have really good chemistry just as a couple, like just joking around. And then when it gets really intense, Andy Samberg shows something. It's something about comedic actors that they could turn it off and become this kind of serious sort of person. You know what? It reminds me of, like, I guess in terms of just offering. Remember the way Marlon Wayans was in, like, Requiem for a Dream?
Yeah.
That sort of thought.
Surprisingly great.
You're like, whoa. Maybe you should do more dramatic stuff.
Right.
That's the way I felt about Andy Samberg in this movie. And then the friends kind of reacting and the family reacting to them still functioning like they were together. And once one of them decides to kind of break away and try to date, just how weird it gets. Just the idea that pride can get in the way and honesty, not being honest about your feelings, and it can really ruin things. It's one of those things where, like, so one thing I like about independent romantic comedies is very real look rather than kind of giving a sugar-coated. It's almost like the whole idea of like the person dying at the end or it not resolving itself in the way that you thought it would resolve itself, but it does resolve itself. And it's needed. That's needed a lot. People don't need to see that everybody holds hands in the end. And at the end, sometimes like things just aren't clear. Like sometimes it's a big question mark. Like what happens? I don't know.
I felt that way about Like Crazy.
Yeah, like
I mentioned it before.
Like Crazy made me so made my heart ache, but it's real.
But the other way, yeah. I mean,
it's like
you talk about a question mark at the end of a movie. Through that whole, like, I haven't seen Celeste and Jesse Forever yet, but you mentioned those kinds of indie dramedy romance, like that's a similar film in the sense that it's like these two people who become best friends and a couple, and it's in and out throughout the whole film. And the way that film ends, you have a big question mark. You're like, what goes on from this next frame of film? Like, you don't know. And you wonder, do you want them to even be together anymore? It's that kind of thing. Like in real life, like, when you have friends that go in and out of relationships and it's so, it's just turmoil and it's toxic and it's bad for them and it, and they get together and you still think like they probably shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a real crazy cliche about love being enough. Like people really believe that. Like it has to be like compatibility and trust and you
Well,
know,
you can use
expected.
Match.com for that.
Yeah.
They can tell that for you.
There's 23 different points.
Yeah, and if you get like 18 of them, you're good.
Right.
Love in that, and you're good.
Yeah.
And that's what it's presented as. This whole like it can only the love is all we need. That's all we need.
Yeah.
And they hold hands and that's the end. That is not true. Closely related, real quick. I just want to jam this in. Closely related, comedic actor in a dramatic role. Take This Waltz. Got to see that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of the same vein. Seth Rogen as the dramatic actor, really good. Okay.
Oh, you've seen it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, Take This
yes.
Waltz. It's going
Take
on
This
my
Waltz.
long list of...
Take This Waltz. Very good.
I'm literally writing it down. This is good radio.
So, all right, I guess it's your turn.
I'm going to talk about a little horror film that I saw a few months ago. It's an Australian film, a lean, mean 84 minutes. It's called The Loved Ones. This is a movie that, again, bounced around the festival circuit for a long time. It got a little bit of a limited release earlier this summer, and Paramount Pictures picked it up and kind of put it in major cities for like a lot of midnight showings. But it's a directorial debut from Sean Byrne, who's an Australian filmmaker. I never heard of the guy before. He's done some shorts in the past. But I mean, basically, this film is like a mashup of like Pretty in Pink.
Okay, so this is the one that's
Candle-
got the kind of prom date.
Yeah,
sort of
the
thing.
girl,
Okay,
the girl in the pink dress with the tiara on and like the chainsaw or whatever. And I'm not even really into those like torture horror films because that's what this generally becomes.
Right.
You know, this is like I say, it's the high school clicky, Pretty in Pink meets like Texas Chainsaw or Hostel E kind of movie. You have a really interesting backstory with the male lead. The film starts off with, he's driving along with his dad. He loses his father in a car accident. And there's an element to that scene, which I don't want to ruin. If you haven't seen it, please see it. That you wonder in the first 30 minutes, like, what does that have to do with this movie? And it's a horror film on the surface, and these torture scenes are very, it's very apparent and very transparent of what they're trying to do here. But that one little piece in the beginning of the movie really stuck with me throughout the whole film, and eventually it comes into play. And I think the way it's weaved through the film and elements of how we take a little bit more of a trip into the backstory of the female lead, and why her and her father are this odd as hell, basically torture duo. And you come to realize that these things have been going on for a long time, and it's not a one-off thing. When the male character like basically insults this girl by not going to prom with her because he already has a girlfriend. He's a nice guy. Like, he didn't really want to hurt her. I mean, she is kind of the outcast. And the guy Brent, like, when he says, I already have a date, or I don't want to do this, it's the ultimate insult to her, and she marks him, and that's the point. That's the jump point, and before we actually get into the scenes where he's being tortured by her, you see this kid who's still coming to terms with the fact that his father is dead, and he doesn't drive a car anymore. He gets driven around by his girlfriend, and his mom doesn't want him to drive, and their relationship is obviously strained. And it's just so many cool elements that you see where his personal problems, like in his life, when he gets taken and held captive and tortured, you see how those moments and those things that he hasn't even come to deal with are the things that give him strength in a lot of the scenes. Really, really, really messed up film. Some really gruesome scenes, very explicit, very creative shots. Towards the end of the film when he's kind of making his escape where his girlfriend gets involved, and some other characters from the film that you, again, are like, what do these people have to do with this movie? And then you see them start to pop into this thread, and it all kind of comes together in a really strong and very creepy, very disturbing ending. Not something that kept me up at night, but a movie, again, my theme for the summer, the majority of my top films were films I didn't really know a whole lot about, and I just kind of stumbled upon. And that's why I value that so much, because I found a film like this that I probably would have never seen, because I was tired of shitty movies this summer and I sought out other things.
Right.
And the word of mouth from friends of mine in the industry or friends that are in major cities where it was showing were like, Steve, I know you love these kind of movies. You got to see this. Find it somehow. And we found it online. And I absolutely loved it. Did you see it, Ronald? I know we talked about it a lot before.
I think I need to.
I reviewed it on our site before.
Right. I love the review, and it made me want to see it, but I haven't seen it. That's also in the pile with Bernie.
Yeah, I would expect that maybe. I know Paramount didn't do a whole lot with it this summer. They may be sitting in a little bit, maybe do some Halloween screenings in major cities. So if you see that pop up around October, The Loved Ones, awesome movie. Yeah. Any genre fans, horror, whatever, see it.
See it.
But I did sort of just stumble across a movie myself in the last couple of days that made it to my top 5 or top 7.5 or whatever I'm calling this. But a movie called The Ambassador, which is a documentary, and it's one of those documentaries that really plays with your perception of how it was put together, because the main character is a Danish comedian, a filmmaker who's kind of he's not quite doing a Sacha Baron Cohen type
sounds
performance,
like a Borat-y
but he goes over to Africa and he just greases a lot of palms and exposes a lot of corruption in his quest to become a diplomat from Liberia. Basically, there are these organizations and these shady guys that they kind of broker these fake diplomatic statuses for these so you can be like a wealthy European businessman and you can go over there and you can pay enough people, and if you're patient enough and if you have enough of a seemingly legitimate claim to be doing business in the region, they're trying to show how the smuggling of blood diamonds, kind of how it happens, like what blood diamonds are.
Wow.
Occasionally, just knowing that the guy is bullshitting everyone in the movie, you sort of see the humor behind some of his escapades, but the situation that they're actually depicting is actually really one of the worst ones in the world right now.
Right.
And in the end, it's hard to say that the guy doesn't come off looking a little bit like, like he's a genuine villain. I mean, I don't know, because the person that he's pretending to be, it seems that the people that he was fooling saw in him a guy they can get money from, in other words. So there's kind of a mutual corruption. He seems to fold that into the movie, which is to say it becomes one of the themes. But it does make you walk away scratching your head going, okay, I don't know how much of what I saw was like, this is what really happens, and how much of it was, this is what these con artists did for the camera.
Right.
But definitely an interesting film. And it's also on demand. I think same day as in theaters. My impression is it's in limited release right now. I would recommend that.
Very good. What you got, Ron?
I reviewed this on the website, but the Norwegian movie Headhunters. It's about like a headhunter that starts like stealing paintings, and he's like an actual headhunter, like for big companies. Mm-hmm. And along the way, he discovers that a lot of these people that want to hire big time executives have lots of paintings. So he steals the paintings and replaces them with like photocopies, basically. And soon after, a gentleman kind of picks up on it and follows him and basically tries his best to kill him in a way that I've never seen somebody be pursued. And it's intense. And it's from start to finish, very, very, I don't know. It just reels you in. Mm-hmm. Really fast paced, very violent. It's a good movie, and it's one of those movies where like the first act. I mean, I know this is like a rule of writing, and the first act they shouldn't be the same as the third act. Mm-hmm. But he not only is different, he's almost like a ruined person, struggling because a person is breaking him down, taking every element of his life and crushing it and trying to pursue him. Mm-hmm. And I don't see that very often in movies. And to see it happen, like his old life, he can't go back to the way this guy's kind of pursuing him. And I love movies like that. Headhunters is one of my top movies.
All right.
Great movie. If you like reading subtitles, you don't mind it so much. There's a dubbed version too, but so here's the issue. So the reason I found out about it, and I kind of mentioned it in the review, is Mark Wahlberg wants to remake it. He wants to, but you have to see it. Like it's one of those movies.
I'm just so tired of new foreign films that are perfectly
like
good,
brand new,
being remade.
They're trying to like make it. They're trying to make it like before 2013's Up. The other movie that I'm going to mention also is going through the same thing.
Why don't you mention it then?
Intouchables.
I was going to just jump in and say that, but I knew you were going to bring it up. Yeah. So I'll let you have that moment.
So here's what pisses me off. This movie just came out. Mm-hmm. It's like, it just hit American theaters like, I think
I remember when it was
2 months ago.
Yeah, about
tops.
Beginning of July.
Making a remake already in it.
Well, the thing you got to keep in mind is that by the time you see some of these movies here, they've already been out in their home countries for a while.
Yeah.
Well, but I think
so they've already made a huge box office there. That's an example.
Yes.
That the film The Untouchables, it had been out overseas for not a long time, but enough time that it had made its box office there before it came over.
It came out in it came out in 2011 though. Like
right? And we're almost at the end of 2012.
That's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. I completely agree with you.
It's not so much the lead time on it as it is just the notion that it's in a, that you can go see it in a theater in the States like now, essentially, and it's going to be or wait a year and there'll be one with people speaking English. I don't know. To me, that just is so.
That's probably not going to have the heart of the first one,
right? Or if it does, you'll just be thinking like, "Hey, this is just as good as the first one." So why does it exist?
But here's my argument, because we have the conversations multiple times about remakes. Is that I think that it allows like a story, if it's a really good story or a really well made whatever character, a great character, on the page, like I guess it gives an opportunity for somebody to bring it to a larger audience.
Right. You're right.
That this amazing story that I haven't seen it, but I've heard nothing but glowing things about this film. That people like. I don't know, a lot of my friends, like my parents, people I work with, and they would rely on people that are, like up on these films like we are, or I don't know, just friends of theirs that were like this. Films like Let the Right One In. I actually personally like Let Me In more. I love Let the Right One In. But something about Let Me In, I connected to more. I love the tone of it, the way it looked, the way it was shot. But a movie that I saw, Let the Right One In, I recommended lots of people to see it. They didn't see it because, one, they don't like foreign films, maybe, or they don't like subtitles, maybe, or they didn't even ever hear of it before I mentioned it, and it was too late to see it.
It's just the fact that that's true. That like in order to get Americans to watch it, you have to make it more American. I think that's maybe what it is that I kind of am rolling my eyes at.
How do you feel about Infernal Affairs becoming The Departed?
Infernal Affairs was different, though.
I disagree with that entirely.
It felt different.
Kind of vaguely knowing about that, but not having seen it, it allowed The Departed to kind of make a unique impression on me. So, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, it did kind of lurk. It's like, well, this is a little strange that Scorsese's doing essentially, doing one of those remakes.
But
we could talk forever about it. Seriously,
Quarantine and Record.
This is, I think about the whole Dragon Tattoo series.
Oh, Dragon!
I mean, there's just so many. We need to plan that out.
That's a good idea.
But I'm gonna jump into another of my favorites, which you kind of were talking about already when we were leading into this, John. But The Dark Knight Rises, a movie that. I mean, the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, absolutely some of my favorite movies of the past, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like I can't help but think in terms of the box office, a tragedy that happened when it opened in Colorado, how that affected it. I think just in terms of the actual film itself, it does have its flaws. I mean, overall, just like kind of John was saying, like there's plenty of conversation to be had about what didn't work as well as what did work. Just in terms of my fanboydom of the series and how much I love every bit of it. I thoroughly enjoyed Dark Knight Rises. It disappointed on very few pieces for me. I did really like a lot of the kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudges, with not actually calling her Catwoman, but little things like the little goggles she wore becoming cat ears when she put them on her head. But
we should really, three of us should really spend some time talking about Dark Knight Rises at some point.
We should. Weird. We have plenty of time too.
Yeah, we could spend a good hour and change.
And seen it multiple times since we did our podcast review of it. I just coming back to it 3 times. I don't have there's nothing about it that I leave the theater with that makes me say I'm disappointed by the movie. There's definitely things I could pick apart with it. I don't think anything would touch Heath Ledger's role or performance as the Joker, but Tom Hardy is a completely different monster in Bane. And I actually really like the way the series ended. The last shot, with him rising on that pedestal and the title comes up. We always joke about it, but Christopher Nolan, this whole series, how they don't show the title cards till the end. And when you watch the whole trilogy over and over again, it is truly remarkable to think of it like that. We don't know what these movies are if you don't say, okay, this is Batman Begins because there's a title card at the beginning. We see it at the end because that's what it was. It's the beginning. We see the Dark Knight because of what he does and the fall he takes for Harvey Dent. And the Dark Knight Rises, in some ways, and some people have seen it, and kind of the way that I see it, is that, that last shot is literally the title of the film, and I like those little things, and they kind of jump out at me more after seeing it a couple times in the theater. Yeah. But, man, I love me some Batman.
Well, this is definitely one when I was talking earlier about my strange list that I had basically had 3 movies that were kind of tied for for one slot.
Yeah.
It was John Carter, Dark Knight, and Prometheus. Is it really my turn?
Yeah, it's your
Again,
But
the longest list of 5 ever created.
well, it's really a list. I realize it's a list of. It's more than 5.
yeah, I'm looking at your paper right now. It's like
Right.
I've got like 20.
I've got like an algebraic equation.
He's got like brackets around
Yeah.
certain ones. Like these 3 count as one.
Well, I thought I was
have
going
a
to.
lot. You have a lot.
However, it seemed that Brave was perceived as like a step down for Pixar.
Sorry.
And I can agree that if you compare it to movies like Toy Story and maybe like The Incredibles, that it's not as good as that, not as perfect as that. But I think if you compare it to movies like Finding Nemo and Up, and movies that have really great sections, but the overall plot is maybe not one of like the most perfectly constructed. To me, the Cars movies are the ones that really stand out as the less imaginative. Brave caught a lot of flack because it was going to be, Pixar's first movie with a female protagonist. I think a lot of pressure was on it to somehow just reinvent the wheel completely, and I think that people kind of overlooked that lurking within this movie was a really nice, a rare thing you don't see that often, which is kind of a mother-daughter story. And the other thing was I thought it was one of those movies that pulls off the trick of the trailer shows you basically only scenes that are contained in the first 15 or 20 minutes of the movie, so the real story of the film is different from what's sold to you in the trailer. So I thought that was I liked that kind of bait and switch, and I understand that a lot of people were confused or didn't like the fact that in the middle the story turned into something different than what they expected. And the other thing I kind of liked about it that I didn't hear a lot of people really commenting on was when it gets to the point in the movie where we find out that Merida, the lead character, that she doesn't really want this arranged marriage, and she finally stands up for herself, and she tells her folks that she doesn't want to marry one of these suitors. The 3 suitors are just as relieved as she is that the families aren't going to make them do this. So again, it's like it maybe it missed this chance for what a lot of people wanted to be like this real feminist tale, but I thought it was almost more of a generational tale. It was more of a clever movie than a lot of people gave it credit for, and those baby bears were cute. I'm not going to lie.
They were damn cute. I almost bought the stuffed animal.
I think that
I did like Brave. I mean, I had a lot of expectations for it, but I think my biggest criticism of it is that it felt more like a Disney movie than it felt like the bar that we compare it to with other Pixar films.
It felt to me like Pixar does Disney. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, it felt like Pixar doing a Disney princess film. It had a lot of the elements of like, the princess, the parents, like this witch doctor kind of character, evil piece that wasn't really that evil, just kind of gave the girl what she wanted with a little caveat that she wasn't aware of. Like,
well, The Witch was almost right out of like a Miyazaki film, like the way that The Witch's magic works. So it had that kind of, I don't know. I would agree that in that sense, I guess if Pixar doing a Pixar twist on a kind of Disney-ish movie is not enough for the audience, then I could see why it would be disappointing to them. But I guess what I'm saying is it's strange to see a movie that I thought was so well made and that continues that tradition of
it was
the visual aspect of
gorgeous,
just, upping the ante every time on what
beautiful
they can pull
film.
off. Absolutely. So in that sense, it was strange to see a movie that I thought was that well made get sort of get middling reviews. But I mean, again, compare that to what Monsters University looks like.
I agree.
Brave doesn't look like the decline of Pixar compared to Cars 2, know?
Yeah.
I just want to mention 2 movies. That's it. A French movie called Sleepless Night about a cop that steals some cocaine in a drug deal and basically endangers his son. It's called Sleepless Night because it is very, very fast paced. It's one of the few movies where a kid gets kidnapped and I think to myself, this kid could probably get his head blown off. And and that also heightens the sense of danger in this movie. And it's one of those movies like Headhunters. Once it picks up, it doesn't stop. The other movie is Safety Not Guaranteed.
Ah, yeah.
Man.
So that's good.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
I like just about everybody involved in that.
Aubrey Plaza. I'm not going to say anything inappropriate.
This will be a perfect
restrain it.
She's
pull back.
She's just,
reeled in.
She just
come on.
Another comedic actor.
Good.
That is allowed to kind of the platform to be a serious actor.
All right, good.
And it's just good to see her in her element. That's just cool.
And was it Mark Duplass in that?
Yes, so good.
And talk about, we were talking earlier about Taylor Kitsch's bad year. Mark Duplass has had like a good year, it seems, or at least a good couple of years. He just keeps popping up in things. And
Yeah,
I think that he's, that kind of low key style of acting.
He's good, and he's good in it. He's very convincing. Like, I don't know, man. He doesn't play the crazy guy in a lot of movies. He always plays a straight man. To see him in this, like, as a legitimately berserk person is nice to see, because he's so off in this movie. So it's a cool movie.
Yeah,
Worth checking out.
I gotta check that out still. I'm gonna just throw out a small doc, The Queen of Versailles. I reviewed it, or we talked about it before on an episode. It's getting more, I guess its release is kind of opening up, so I'd check that out still. One of the better docs I've seen this summer. I'm sure it's going to be in an art house theater near you. I guess really quick, I mean, we're getting towards the end here, but we mentioned it a little bit earlier with the Avengers.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the big superhero film of the summer. High expectations, but I pumped it back because they were so high for Dark Knight Rises. I was like, there's no way this is going to be anywhere near as good.
Mm-hmm.
Different kind of good altogether. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of film. It's that popcorn, all these characters that hold their own, funny, a lot of really great comedic beats. And that's obviously, I think, Joss Whedon's hand. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I just think that
it was almost too Joss Whedon, but not. It's like
almost got there.
There were some scenes where it's like the dialogue was a little pushed. It's like if this was any more cute and clever, it would be too cute and clever.
Right.
But it was just right in that pocket. It was like that rare movie that it never went off the rails. Like it actually seemed to justify its budget somehow.
Yeah, Ron and I were fortunate to see an advanced screening of it. And I mean, the crowd that we saw it with was incredible. I mean, obviously a mix of huge, fanboys in the crowd, but just genre fans too, and just wanting that big summer action popcorn. One hell of a good time. And I think it was all that.
It was.
And I think when you're watching that kind of movie too, what you just described, plus the fact that every 5 minutes that goes by without the movie starting to suck, your investment gets bigger and better.
It ramps up. You're like, holy shit, this is really good.
Yeah.
It's pretty, the humor and the action were very rapid fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it surprised me how many jokes he jammed into it, and it didn't seem corny.
Yeah.
That's on DVD Blu-ray now, so you should check it out if you didn't see that in theaters. Do you guys have any other movies that we got?
Nothing else.
That's it, man.
So I mean, there's as much as we say there was kind of a letdown overall, I would say the common thread is there's a lot of really great independent films out there that we all saw this summer.
Yeah,
that's always going to be a good thing, man. Like,
and the problem is that a lot of people just don't know how to find them, don't know that they even exist. So hopefully you guys listen to some of these suggestions, go check them out. Ones that you didn't see, most of them, if not all of them, should be on DVD, in the fall, or video on demand. That seems to be the common thread. It's a great new outlet for a lot of these films, but definitely all worth checking out, and pretty confident that you would like all, if not most, of the titles.
Yep.
As always, we want to point out that we have, I think I forgot to mention it the last episode, but we have the movieschmovie.net website. You can hit us up at email at movieschmovie@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, ideas for shows, any kind of feedback. We're always open to that. And also we have the obviously iTunes is really what we want to try to drive, is that if you're listening to this, you're either on iTunes or Mixcloud most likely. So if you're on iTunes, please rate it. Please put the star, comment, whatever you can do to help us kind of get more of credibility. It helps with the way that the search engine works in terms of sorting out things. Yeah. If you search for movie right now, you probably don't find our podcast, but maybe with your help and getting ratings and comments on it, it's going to help. And, if you subscribe to other movie podcasts, subscribe to us, because, it relates us all together, and it will help suggest our podcast to your friends, to other just random iTunes users searching for the same things. Hopefully you'll come back and listen to, our reviews, our suggestions, or just our random thoughts and arguments. Maybe, I don't know. We need to have more arguments, I think. I think we kind of play into each other a little too much. I think the remake episode's going to be really good. I'm going to start working on that one.
We always
remake CGI. That'd be a good one, right?
I think
we legitimately argue when we talk about remakes, though. I don't know if you've gone back and listened to this.
I got a first aid kit in my backpack
because I think you're sorely wrong about remakes. They are the devil's work, sir. Hey, you need to get your holy water and Bible if you think that those are good.
Where are you looking right now when you're talking?
I don't know. What's he looking at?
I just want to throw that out. You guys don't see this, but we are all making eye contact. John and I are looking at each other. Where is Ronald looking? He's looking like in the corner of John's ceiling or something.
So John has this really
There's
cool
a spider on the wall.
Edgar
maybe?
Allan Poe book. It looks so cool. I can't say every time I'm here.
As you're talking about the devil's work,
Right.
you're reading that book title.
Right.
Very, very
Edgar Allan Poe.
All right, guys. Well, as always, you guys are amazing for listening and just keep it up.
Amazing for
I personally think you are. If you took time to listen to this
you've made
whole
it through
podcast,
this
if
one,
you listened to this whole thing,
if you made it through this
are
episode,
amazing.
yes, you are amazing.
All right, guys. Thanks as always for listening. You've made our day. Take care.
Bye.